Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to assign oxidation numbers. This is part of the redox reactions chapter, so let's get started. Okay guys, before I start teaching examples, I'm going to put this chart on the screen, and you need to keep this in mind for the whole video. You need to apply these rules onto the elements before we start solving. Okay? Make sure you have this memorized very well. Okay, after you have this memorized, then come back to the video and we'll continue with the examples. Okay guys, so this is our first example and this is H2O. And we know that as a compound, H2O has a charge of 0. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to make an equation. So we're going to put this compound equal to 0. Okay, and if you remember the chart that I showed at the start of the video, oxygen we're going to put as -2. And hydrogen. We have 2 hydrogens, but we're trying to find the charge of it. So we'll put hydrogen as x. So 2x plus -2 equals 0. We're going to isolate x to find the charge of hydrogen. Okay? So right now we have -2 that we can move to the other side. So 2x equals -2. I'm writing with my left hand, so please excuse my writing. 2x equals -2. Now we have the charge when you move it to the other side, it's +2. When you move it, it's going to be +2. So 2x equals -2. The oxidation number of 2 hydrogen atoms is going to be +2. But you want to find the oxidation number for 1 hydrogen. So we'll move this 2 to the other side, and when we move it, it's going to divide. So we have x equals 1. Okay, and we can now double check our math. We have 2 hydrogen atoms, each with a charge of 1, each with an oxidation number of 1. Sorry, I keep saying charge. And times that by 2. Times it by 2 plus -2. So 2 times 1 is +2, minus 2, we get 0. So our answers match. Okay, we found that hydrogen has an oxidation number of 1, and the oxygen has an oxidation number of -2. Okay, so let's move on to another example. Okay, guys, so here's our second example, ClO4-. So in this case, our compound does not have a charge of 0. Our compound has a charge of -1, as you can see here. Okay, so our equation, we're going to set it up equal to -1. Okay, and we're going to start with putting the oxidation number of oxygen. And in this case, you can't put the charge of chlorine because the oxidation number of chlorine because you don't know what it is. So we're going to put the charge of oxygen and then put chlorine as a variable and solve for chlorine. Okay guys, so I wrote the equation. Our oxygen has the oxidation number of -2, and there is 4 oxygen atoms. So we do the number of atoms times the oxidation number plus the other element that we have that we're finding, which is chlorine, which is why I set it to x. Now what we're going to do is solve for x. So 4 times -2 is -8. X minus -8 equals -1. Now we move the -8 to the other side. So I'm going to do that and find the value of x. Okay guys, so I moved the 8 to the other side. -8 on the other side is going to be +8. So -1 plus 8 equals 7. We got the value for our x to be 7, which means the oxidation number of chlorine is going to be +7. Now please double check your answer and see if the value for our oxidation number being 7 is right. You can do that in the method I showed in the previous example, and please comment down below if it's right. Okay, let's move on to our next example. Okay guys, so here's an example that's a little bit harder. This example even though it has 3 elements, the one fact that's going to be the same is the fact that this compound is equal to 0. Okay? And we start by assigning the oxidation numbers of oxygen and then hydrogen. In this case, we're finding the oxidation number of carbon. Okay? So we know that oxygen has an oxidation number of -2, and hydrogen has the oxidation number of +4. Now that we have the oxidation numbers of 2 compounds, 2 elements, we can for sure find the oxidation number of carbon. So let's set up our equation. Make sure to have the subscripts in mind. Okay guys, so here I wrote the equation and I solved it. So here we have 6x. We're trying to find the oxidation number of carbon, so we'll assume that carbon is x. 6 times x, because there's 6 atoms of carbon, 6x plus 12 times 1. 12 atoms of carbon times the +1 oxidation number, plus 6 times -2. 6 atoms of oxygen times -2, which is the oxidation number of oxygen, equal to 0, because the whole compound has the oxidation number of 0. 6x plus 6 minus 12, I just multiplied whatever we could. And here you can notice that it's +12 minus 12, meaning it's going to be 0. 6x plus 0 equals 0. And then we can take the 6 and divide it from each side to isolate for x. After isolating for x, you get that x equals 0, which means that the oxidation number for carbon is 0. Okay? Yeah, let's move on to another example. Okay guys, so this is going to be the last example that we're doing for today. And here it might look a bit lengthy, but if you look closely, you know that you have the oxidation number for 3 of the elements listed. Actually 2, but yeah. So you know that the compound as a whole has a charge of 0, so we'll just directly make it equal to 0. We know that hydrogen is +1, oxygen is -2, hydrogen again is +1, doesn't matter that it's here twice, and carbon is what we're finding. So now we just make our equation and then solve for x. Once again, make sure you keep the subscripts in mind, so I'm going to write the equation now. Okay guys, so here is the equation, and we have 6 atoms of carbon times x, because we're finding the oxidation number of carbon, plus 5 atoms of H, times 1, because 1 is the oxidation number of H, plus -2. There's only 1 atom of oxygen, so we just add -2, plus 1, because we have 1 atom of another hydrogen, so plus 1 equals to 0, because the compound has a charge of 0. 6x, I'm just going to expand everything that I need to. 6x plus 5, -2, plus 1. Adding all these together, we get plus 4. So 6x plus 4 equals 0. Move the 4 to the other side and you get 6x minus 4. Flip the sign when you move it to the other side. And then finding x on its own, you get x equals -4 over 6. Now you can just simplify it because both can be divided by 2. So you get x equals 2 over 3, -2 over 3. So your oxidation number of carbon is going to be -2 over 3. And it doesn't matter that it's a fraction because your oxidation numbers can be fractions as well. So yeah, that's the last example. Okay guys, so that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, then please leave them in the comments. And if you want a part 2 of this video where I go over some harder examples, please let me know. So yeah, that's it for today. See you guys next time. Bye.